Greg.
In the dead silence of the countryside, a young woman was asleep inside her car, parked in the middle of nowhere. Without warning, two men, Evans and Greg, appeared out of the darkness, disturbing her fragile peace. Evans, assuming the car was empty, moved closer to relieve himself. But then, through the dusty window, he noticed movement, and a flash of red fabric. It was her undergarment. His mind immediately twisted into something vile. Greg caught the look on Evan's face and instantly understood his intentions. While Greg turned away for a moment, Evans gave in to his impulses. He tugged on the car door handle, but it was locked, and the clattering noise startled the girl awake. Groggy and confused, she opened her eyes, only to find Evans peering inside at her like a predator spotting prey. She screamed at him to get away, her voice trembling with fear and rage. But Evans didn't move. Instead, he spat out crude, disgusting words, taunting her. Terrified, the girl slammed her hand on the horn. The loud, endless blare echoed through the mountains, cutting through the still night and reaching her parents' ears. Her father's instincts kicked in. Handing their younger son to his wife, he sprinted down the mountain toward the sound. But that same noise also drew Greg's attention. He rushed back, and for a fleeting moment, the girl thought help had arrived. Relief washed over her, until Greg pulled out a gun and aimed it at her. He wasn't a rescuer. He was part of it. Her body trembled as tears streamed down her cheeks. Greg barked an order, telling her to get out of the car. With no other choice, she obeyed, her knees shaking so violently she could barely stand. Meanwhile, her father was already racing through the woods toward her. Up on the mountain, her mother grew anxious when neither her husband nor daughter returned. She tucked the little boy safely inside the tent and ran after them, unaware of the horror waiting below. By the time she reached the car, it was too late. Evans and Greg had captured the entire family. They dragged them deeper into the woods, laughing as they tormented the helpless girl. But the cruelty didn't stop there. They wanted more. To amuse themselves, they came up with a sadistic game. Greg placed a beer can on the father's head and dared Evans to shoot it off. Evans hesitated, raising his rifle, but before he could fire, the can fell. Irritated, Greg set it back up and told him to try again. This time, Evans pulled the trigger, missing the can and striking the father instead. The man collapsed instantly. The mother's scream ripped through the forest, echoing in raw grief. Greg responded by knocking her out cold. When she came to, dazed and dizzy, the can was now balanced on her head. Greg wanted to keep the game going. He took aim. His shot went wide again, and his frustration boiled over. Enraged, he fired once more, killing her instantly. Only the girl remained. Evans suggested keeping her alive, but Greg, cold and impulsive, ended it with a single shot. The forest fell silent. As they caught their breath, Evans rummaged through the girl's phone and discovered something that made his stomach twist. There was another child, a younger brother. Panic set in. If the boy lived and told anyone, they were finished. They sprinted back to the tent, but it was empty. The boy was gone. Lost and crying, the child had wandered into the forest, searching for his mother, unaware of the danger lurking nearby. At the same time, not far away, a young couple named Sam and Robin were camping in the area. Their trip had gone wrong after a tire blew out. Robin had gone back to get tools when she stumbled upon the boy, trembling and covered in tears. Realizing he was still alive, she scooped him up without hesitation. They needed to get him to a hospital, but their car couldn't move on a flat tire. Sam tried calling for help when headlights appeared in the distance. A car was approaching. Relieved, they waved for it to stop. But when it pulled over, their relief turned to dread. The driver was Evans. The moment Evans saw the boy, his expression changed. He instantly recognized him and knew the danger. If this child reached the police, everything would be exposed. Thinking quickly, he forced a smile and offered to help find the boy's parents. He convinced Sam to go with him while asking Robin to stay behind and look after the kid. As Evans and Sam moved through the woods, they stumbled upon the gruesome sight, the bodies of the girl and her father. But one thing was off. The mother's body was missing. Following a faint trail of blood, Evans soon found her barely clinging to life. When Sam rushed forward to help, Evans raised his shotgun from behind, aiming directly at him. Sam froze, realization dawning in horror. Evans wasn't a good Samaritan. He was the monster responsible. Acting on instinct, Sam shoved Evans aside and bolted into the forest. And just like that, the night turned into a nightmare hunt. The dark forest exploded into chaos. Sam sprinted blindly between the trees, branches slashing across his face as he gasped for breath. Behind him, Evans and Greg charged through the undergrowth like wild animals. The hunters had become the hunted. Sam knew he couldn't outrun them forever. His only chance was to find cover and hide. He slid behind a fallen tree, crouching low, every heartbeat echoing like thunder in his chest. The woods went quiet, too quiet. Evans stopped and scanned the area, his shotgun raised, eyes darting through the shadows. Then from the corner of his vision, he spotted movement. He crept closer, finger tightening on the trigger. But when the shape came into focus, his stomach dropped. It wasn't Sam. It was Greg. For a moment, their eyes met. Greg's full of confusion, Evans's full of guilt. In the blink of an eye, the realization hit them both. This wasn't just a manhunt anymore. It was madness. Panic rippled through Evans. His mind cracked, consumed by fear, rage, and the lingering stench of his crimes. He decided there would be no witnesses left alive. Somewhere nearby, a faint sound pierced the silence. A child's cry. The boy. Evans's eyes widened. He followed the voice and burst into a small clearing, where Robin was trying to calm the frightened kid. She looked up in terror as Evans stepped out of the darkness. Hidden a few yards away, Sam saw everything. He wanted to move, to save them, but fear paralyzed him. He could only watch as Evans ripped the boy from Robin's arms and threw him to the ground. Robin screamed and lunged for the child, but Evans shoved her back and tied her to a tree. His cruelty escalated. He tore at her clothes and pressed the cold barrel of his hunting rifle against her trembling skin. Robin's face went pale, her eyes filled with tears, but she refused to scream. She knew that's what he wanted, to lure Sam out. Her silence was her final act of defiance. The forest was still until the distant growl of an engine shattered it. Evans froze. He looked up sharply. A car was speeding down the mountain road. Sam. Evans cursed under his breath, yanked Robin from the tree, and dragged her through the woods. He shoved her into the passenger seat and slammed his foot on the gas. The tires screeched as they tore down the dirt road, chasing after Sam. Robin realized what was coming. If Evans caught Sam, he would kill him. She had to do something, anything. She fought against the ropes cutting into her wrists, struggling desperately as Evans focused on the road ahead. By now, Sam had reached the police station. Breathless and shaken, he burst through the doors and told them everything. Officers armed up and joined him in a patrol car, racing back toward the forest. Back in Evans's speeding vehicle, Robin suddenly heard the faint wail of sirens. Her heart leapt. Hope flickered. Thinking fast, she leaned over and flicked the headlights on and off again, flashing them repeatedly into the dark. The beams sliced through the trees like a signal flare. The flashing lights caught the attention of the police convoy approaching the area. Sam saw them too and shouted to the officers to follow the light. Robin's heart pounded. She could almost taste freedom, but she wasn't safe yet. Evans wasn't stupid. He knew exactly what she was doing. He slammed the brakes and veered off the main path, steering deeper into the forest where sirens couldn't reach. What Robin didn't know was that he had already prepared an ambush there, anticipating this very moment. They crashed through branches and mud until the car came to a sudden stop in a small clearing. Evans shoved her out and raised his rifle, scanning the darkness. Sam and the police were getting closer. Then Robin saw it. Evans was distracted. His attention flickered toward the noise behind them. She seized her chance. Without hesitation, she wrenched open the car door and bolted into the woods. "Run all you want," Evans snarled, his voice echoing through the trees. He aimed his gun toward the movement and shouted, 10 seconds. If you don't come out, he dies. He wasn't bluffing. A single wrong move could cost Sam his life. Trembling, Robin stepped back into the open. Evans smirked. He forced her into the driver's seat while keeping Sam under his gun. "Drive," he ordered coldly. The car tore through the forest once again, bouncing violently over roots and rocks. But Robin's eyes burned with defiance. She had a plan. Her grip tightened on the wheel as she waited for the right moment. Evans, confident he was in control, loosened his focus for a split second. That was all she needed. Robin slammed her foot on the gas, yanked the steering wheel, and sent the car veering off the trail. The tires screamed. The vehicle spun out of control, flipping down the steep slope. Branches shattered, metal crumpled, and glass exploded into the night. When the car finally came to a stop, everything was silent except for the sound of the engine sputtering. Evans lay motionless, his body broken, his reign of terror finally over. Robin crawled from the wreckage, bloodied but alive. A few minutes later, flashing lights painted the forest blue and red. Sam and the officers rushed to her side, pulling her away from the wreck. She and Sam were taken to the hospital. Miraculously, neither suffered serious injuries, but the trauma lingered. Every scream, every shadow, every drop of blood replayed in their minds. Lying in her hospital bed, Robin looked out the window at the rising sun. For the first time since that night began, she felt safe. The nightmare was over. Through that ordeal, they learned something unshakable. When danger strikes without warning, panic is the enemy. But courage, quick thinking, and the will to survive can turn even the darkest night into dawn.